Hey, IX ambassadors. Or how does Meg say it? Ambassadors? Something like that. Anyway, hi everybody. I am flying solo today because our fearless COO Meg is off to Pier. She is doing a workshop with the South Dakota Sheriff's Association. Hey, Shelly. And so she's off working that hard, and she's got 50 sheriffs and deputies and or police attending her session. So it's super, like, I'm really excited about the next time I get pulled over, because I'll be like, officer, could you hold this book while I get my license out? And then maybe he'll be like, I went to this. Fingers crossed. They all get a book. So anyway, so she's off doing that, and she's in Pier, which is, for those of you who don't live near us, it's 3 hours away from us. So she's off doing that, and for a half-day workshop. And let's see, the other announcements we've got. Let's see, I'm going to be in Grand Rapids, Michigan tomorrow. Leaving tomorrow through just Sunday, so not very long. But if you are in Grand Rapids, let me know, and maybe we can connect and get a selfie posted on the Facebook. Let's see, Meg's off to Phoenix tomorrow. She's going off on holiday for the Phoenix Open, the Waste Management Open. And I'm going down with a group of friends, so she will probably be off the radar for a few days. I think she's gone all the way through next Tuesday. Let's see, then I'm in Atlanta in mid-February and Portland. And then I'm off to Vegas in mid-March. So if you're any of those places, Portland, Oregon, I should say. If you're in any of those places, let us know, and I would love to meet and have a cup of coffee or a glass of wine or some tequila or whatever you're poison. We are also offering workshops in Denver. So we had Shelly, who's with us right now, was at the workshop last week in Rapid City, and we're going to offer the same 2-day event in Denver. So if you know anyone in Denver, want to refer us, would like to recommend the class or suggest us reach out to companies or individuals down there, that would be fantastic. We'd appreciate that connection. Let's see, and then we also have our IX Leadership Online certification up and running. That's essentially our in-person class in an online format, so that way we don't have to physically be present to deliver our good stuff. And we've had we had about 10 federal employees who are furloughed, federal employees and contractors, go through that program. And they found it super useful and insightful. So they're our most recent graduates. And yeah, if you hear of any speaking workshops, referrals for any of that work, let us know. We actually did have some in the IX Ambassador community reach out and say, could you actually go visit this one company in the area, in this town, because I know that they're having a hard time with their culture. So happy to do that totally anonymously. And we're on a big tear to reach out to more and more people all the time. So keep us in mind when it comes to that. There's also a really interesting article I got sent to me on LinkedIn, written by Bain Capital, on culture in the M&A space. So M&A is mergers and acquisitions, and it's a really big world in corporate America, how they buy and sell companies back and forth, and combine companies and divest companies and all kinds of crazy stuff. But one of the things that they always miss and they always lack is a really well-defined way to deal with the culture of the company. As you can imagine, stabilizers and organizers are already not liking the change stuff, and then you throw in, merger acquisition, and then even the people that love change are freaked out by change, and then it's like, what is happening? So that's a really interesting article about how culture needs to have more of a front and center stage, and we've been saying that for a couple of years, and so it's good to see that Bain Capital, who is one of the largest consultants around M&A, is also saying that too. So it's really, really useful. And hopefully we're expressing a sea change in what's happening. So you guys are on the ground floor of all of that happening. Let's see. So today we're supposed to talk about mindset. And mindset is a really tricky topic. I'm going to see if I can turn this light on, if that helps. It's kind of glary, but maybe that's better. It's really cold everywhere. It's not that cold where I'm at. It's only like 18 degrees, so it's pretty balmy, relatively speaking, but I'm still decided to stay in the house today and stay warm. So mindset, let's talk about mindset and growth versus fixed mindset. And really what this is about is it's about the ability for us to envision our future in a way that makes it happen. And we talk about this a lot in the book, actually, in the part 2, where we talk about culture types and the KCTM, the Kurtz Change Transition Model. And the reason that's so powerful and interesting is it basically means that, guess what? You get to decide what your future is going to be. If you decide that your future is going to suck, guess what? It's going to suck. If you decide your future is going to be awesome, then guess what? Your future is going to be awesome. And how this works is that in the article that Michelle posted this week, it talked a lot about fixed versus growth mindset. And really, fixed mindset is essentially believing that who you are and what you are and who you can become are all static and not changeable. And a growth mindset is really one that believes that you can envision a future that's better than what you have or different than what you have, and that you can actually achieve it. I think there's to some degree, we all have both of these. If you think about, you have pessimists, realists, and optimists, right? And my dad always says that he is a realist, even though I think he's a pessimist. Because I think we all have a little bit of all of this. I think it just depends on, it's sort of like you have like the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other, right? We have a big revenue goal for this year. And sometimes it's like, well, we have a $4 million revenue goal. We have all the pieces in place. We have the right people on board. We're going to make it. Yay. It's going to take work, but we can make it. And on the other hand, you're like, oh my God, it'll never happen. And so, I think we all have these sort of the angel and the devil side of our psyche at work. But frankly, you have to be able to activate that growth side in order to do any of it. In order to have the debate back and forth, you have to really believe that you can do it. So one of the things that's interesting about stabilizers, and I know we have some stabilizers and organizers in the group, is that oftentimes they don't think that because they're so tied into being stable, they think that change is impossible or very, very difficult or not for them, or because it makes them feel anxious. So what we really see a lot is this disconnect between our intellect of, yeah, we're going to make changes, we're going to have a growth mindset, and your heart, which is, oh my God, change is scary, and I don't really like change. So what we really can do is, if you know what culture type you are, then you can be better equipped to understand why that even though you're intellectually, you might be like, yeah, we're going to go do this, it's going to be awesome, that your heart feels really nervous and anxious and that you can't do it. And so for us, when I think about this and approach this, it's really more about, first of all, what kind of culture type are you? And then second of all, what do you want to accomplish or change? And when you do that, then you can really start understanding why change might be hard for you, or why growth might feel stressful. Because, you read all the things, and a growth mindset is wonderful and happy, and if you don't do it, you're big dummy, right? And that's just really, really hard, especially for people that don't like change. And so what does that mean? Does it mean that they aren't as good about things as other people? No. It means that they just need to go about it differently. So if you're a stabilizer or an organizer, if you're an order person, one of the things that you can keep in mind is that you need more of a plan than a fixer or an independent. So if you're order tolerant, you need a plan. So in your own mind, you can't just say, I'm going to grow, I'm going to get my PhD, or I'm going to get certified in IX leadership, or whatever it might be, because that feeling of, I'm just going to go do this, feels really awful because you don't know how you're going to make it, and you don't think you can do it. And a lot of that, though, is not that you can't do it. It's this, that you, as like deep down, need a prescriptive or a plan so that you know what it looks like before you can really take it on and want to go for it. So be smart about it. You guys are all really smart people. So use your culture types to your own benefit. So if you're a stabilizer, an organizer, order tolerant, what you do is go investigate, right? I spend hours looking at Amazon reviews before I buy anything new, right? So, or if I buy a big purchase, I spend a lot of time researching. So give yourself that grace and go like investigate. How long does it take to get this? What does it look like? Maybe I want to buy a house. What does that look like? What's the process? Do I have a timeline? How much money do I need? And so to really let yourself do all of that investigation in a way that you're not committing. Not committing, it's just a research project. And I think when we do that, I think that sort of, it's not that warm in here. I'm going to put my sweater. When we do that, when we think of it in that way, I think then we free ourselves from the burden of feeling like, oh my God, this is going to be a thing and it's going to freak me out. So if you or people that you love or work with, you know that they're stabilizers, just remember that they need a plan and they need to feel like it's controlled and understood and how it's going to work. One of our clients is a CEO and he's a fixer and he's been in the same job for 11 years. And he likes chaos though, so I bet you can guess what he's doing in the office to make him like pet his chaos gene. He like does reorganizations, he mixes people up, he changes the org chart, he gives people different titles even though they're doing the same job. Like he literally creates chaos because that's what he likes to do. That's what he loves. But one of the interesting things is he said to me, well, I'm really disappointed in my people because I want people to go get training, development, certifications, whatever they want. I want them to grow as a person and as a professional. And I want them to do that, but no one ever asks me for the money, or no one ever approaches me to take advantage of these opportunities. And the really interesting thing about that is that couple things. So we culture typed his whole company, and he works with, guess what, mostly stabilizers. And they, as a stabilizer, thinking about, I'm just going to go and talk my boss into paying for this and taking time off work and finding a way to go and all of that junk feels way too overwhelming, especially because they're already feeling anxious because he's always creating chaos, right? So I bet that if we reduce the chaos in the office, they would feel more like they could take on that chaos of self-development because everything else is pretty chill, right? And so this is really an important thing to be aware of for yourself, your colleagues, friends, loved ones, that what level of anxiety or what level of chaos are they dealing with and how that affects them, because that's going to make doing more chaos feeling things even harder. So it's something to be really aware of. And so the other thing is like for his company, we're coming in and we're showing up and we're doing all the chaos stuff, and they literally have to walk down the hall to the corporate boardroom, and they're all for it. So it's not like they don't want to grow. They just don't want to have the chaos around what it might mean to do all this crap that it takes to actually go to an event. This was really brought home to us last week during the workshop in Rapid City. A couple of you that are on were in attendance. And every single person, with the exception of one, and I'll tell her story in a minute, every single person in that room was in a chaos tolerant. Because if you think about it, they had to do all the things. They had to talk somebody into let them off work, they had to find the money or justify the money or ask for the money and figure out how to be in Rapid for 2 days and not in where they normally are and all the things. And that's really pretty chaotic for people that like routine. There was one woman who was a stabilizer, poor thing, she broke the curve for us. Her thing was that she came with somebody that she knew. So somebody else, Daryl is his name. I don't think Daryl's on, but he might watch later. He just joined the IX Ambassador community. So Daryl brought her along, and she's someone that he really feels like has a lot of potential. And I've talked to him about her before, attending some classes. And so she's with that crew. And so that felt more stabilizer-y to her because Daryl was doing all the hard work. He got the invoice, he got the money, he got the approval. She just had to jump in the car and drive over with him. And so that was really, really interesting. And so it just re-emphasizes the point of how hard it is for people to enter into a chaotic state when it isn't their natural chaotic state. Now, as you might imagine, development and training and growth mindset stuff is vastly different for chaos people. Chaos people like throw themselves at a lot of opportunities, almost all the opportunity. Like, why not? Like, unless you're constrained by time or money, chaos people are always up for whatever. And so part of the challenge is that you could almost be too scattered. So I was talking to a woman this morning in Chicago, and she's just kind of starting her business and all that stuff. And well, she's not really, she's kind of re-engaging. She took about 6 months off. And now she's kind of revamping some things and getting started. And one of the things for her is that she is a chaos person, and she's an entrepreneur and what we call a solopreneur. So she works for herself and she's an entrepreneur. And the trap for her is that she's not really anchored in what she's going to be and what she's going to do and how she's going to do it, or at least what her goal is. She doesn't really have that tap down. So her challenge is that she's going to, hi Mark, yeah, right, chaos, right. The problem for chaos people is that unless you have the real anchor in the future, like if you have a stake and you're passionate about it and you are going to work toward it, then you can literally like do all of this. Oh, what's this? What's the squirrel thing, right? What's the shiny toy? What's the shiny new thing? And not that that's bad necessarily, because trust me, I love learning. I've always said I'm a lifetime learner. It is my deal. Like, I love it. But I can also be very distracted when I have to be focused, or when I want to be focused. So that's actually our biggest challenge, I would say, in a growth mindset, because growth mindset sort of celebrated, right? It's like, ooh, I have a growth mindset. Yeah, well, it can also trap you. And so just be super careful about when you think about growth in a strategic way, I can achieve greater and better things than I have now. What we always try to do is figure out what's your value system, and then what's your vision for what you want to do? And then is that way, every time you get an opportunity, can you say, is this serving my vision for the future? Is this doing what I want to do? And then you could say yes or no as you move up that Kurt's transition model. And then it really helps you decide. One thing is, a recent example is Meg has decided that she is going to own the speaking side of our business. So we do consulting, speaking, coaching, online stuff, sales training, that kind of stuff. Well, she's decided that the speaking stuff is hers because it's something that we just don't have a lot of expertise in. We do it, we speak all the time. And so she's not getting speaking training. What she's getting is, how do you actually get speaking gigs? Because that's part of our company that we want to grow. Because frankly, when we get in front of a crowd and we tell people about what we do, it's like, it's kind of a done deal. There's so many people that are struggling with their organizations that as soon as they figure out that we have a solution, they're like all in. They want to hire us immediately. So that's part of how we're growing our business, a little bit behind the curtain info from us. And so that's why we're all over. I forgot, Meg is also going to be in Orlando in early March. So that's part of our gig to sort that out. And so when we think about a growth mindset, it's great to be anchored in that vision. The last question that Michelle posted this week is benefits from a growth. What are the benefits essentially from a growth mindset? And I think it depends on who you are, because the idea of a growth mindset implies, the implication is that if you don't have a growth mindset, then it's bad, or if you don't grow, then it's bad. But frankly, culture types at its core is about celebrating what people's strengths are. And if your strength is to be the very best lawyer in the world, and you're going to do lawyering for the rest of your life, great. You don't have to grow, quote unquote, if you don't want to, because you can help people just the way you are, just the way you're doing things. Now, for those of us in and so for those of us in the chaos space, of course, we're all over the place. And I think just because we're doing change stuff, or we're changing our space, doesn't necessarily mean we're growing. And so it becomes to me a little bit of one of those, it's great to be extroverts are good leaders and introverts aren't, or introverts are amazing leaders and extroverts are full of themselves. It kind of becomes one of those reasons to sort of other humans. And so I think that we have to be a little careful that we're not honoring people where they are and what their best gifts are, by saying, well, growth mindset's better. And so one of the things to remember when we read questions and when we look I always smile when I see Michelle online, because she is an independent. And so you might even see that like some of the way the questions are worded sort of implies that growth mindset's better. And so we all have our own little biases, right? And so it's really one of the things I can't emphasize enough is that it is your power of being an IX ambassador lies in your understanding and honoring of other people and how they work. I'll tell you just a little story. I had a conversation with someone Monday. And I said, tell me what happened. What's going on? Because I got a call from a friend who was a colleague, and she's like, my organization needs communication training. So great. Let's set up a meeting. 3 weeks later, I have a meeting with our CEO. And she says, I said, okay, just tell me what's going on. What's happening? And she literally just like for 20 minutes told me about all these challenges they were having with people and passive aggressive behavior, and she just didn't know how to deal with it and all this stuff. And I had to sit there and try not to smile because, frankly, I knew exactly how to fix her problem. I knew exactly what was going on because culture types are crazy. They're so crazy. The longer we work with culture types and the change transition model, the more and more obvious it is. Like, it is mind-blowingly applicable to so many things. So one of my new projects is going to be, why can't we just get along? Because really what's going on is the organization is a very stabilizer organization. The woman in charge is a fixer. And so she has instituted things that are a little chaotic, and not dramatically so, but a little bit. And so that makes her people crazy. They literally freak out. And now then they have all these weird behaviors. And she's like, I am tired of dealing with all this weird behavior. And I said, this was before I knew about all the crazy chaos stuff. And I said, tell me, it seems like this is not like average behavior, stressed out behavior. I said, this seems like there must be something else going on. So is there another reason that these guys are stressed out? Is it, a new contract? Is it a new leadership? Is it a layoff? Like, what else might be happening? And she said, well, I actually change people all day long, all around their job duties. And before I could say a thing, she said, but I think I'll stop doing that tomorrow. Like, immediately she got that was a problem. And so just really, it's incredible how magic, thinking about culture types and anxiety around chaos is so powerful, so powerful. So anyway, don't underestimate your ability to diagnose issues and things. And frankly, if you're having a challenge with somebody or a team, or you're curious about whether a job will suit you or whatever, have the people that you're working with take the culture type assessment before you go. I bet if you're looking for new work, I bet if you sent an assessment to the HR person who's going to interview you, that would blow their freaking mind. But it would be so interesting for you to take, for you to see what they are. And then we've actually had I think we're at like 5 people now, take our book in job interviews and say, this is how I'm going to be a better leader because of what's in this book. So when you think about growth mindset, think, look at that through a lens of, well, what does that mean? Does it mean that people that don't grow are bad? That's kind of the implication. And so just be careful that and for people that are stabilizers and want to grow, just know that they're going to need more detail, different style, maybe it takes them longer. It doesn't mean they're not interested in growing. It means that they're just going to grow differently and at a different pace than other people that they might be around. So anyway, I just can't reemphasize that enough. Like, use culture types for the good of humanity, and try to honor people the way they like to work, because it'll really make a difference for you. Let's see. I think that's all I was going to have today. Like I said, Meg's and Pierre running around, and I tell you, it's been a crazy week. I'm literally have the 6th proposal that's going out to this week on my desktop. So it's really fun to co-create solutions for people as a fixer, especially. It just warms my heart. And so love co-creating solutions with companies, organizations. So it's and for them, it is a growth period when we go in and support them. And so we have to really keep in mind that a lot of people that are actually implementing this stuff are order tolerant people, and how are they going to take it versus how the fixers are. So when it comes down to that growth mindset, if you're a stabilizer and you want to grow into a growth mindset, just be aware that you're going to respond in your heart a lot faster if you take the time to do a little research. So if someone says, oh my God, we want to do this training, and you're like, oh my God, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Take a beat, take a minute, ask questions. This is another thing that we're helping people do. It's okay to ask clarifying questions. Ask, wow, this sounds crazy to me. When do you want to do it? What's the timeline? How do you see it rolling out? Because they just honestly, you need that information to feel comfortable. They don't. And so they won't even think to share it with you. And they don't share it with you because they're trying to be jerks. They just don't need it to make the decision, and you do. So again, be an empowered, order tolerant person, if that's who you are, to ask those questions. And I know it's scary. Trust me, I think we've got probably 300 people right now in various contracts and organizations that are terrified, not really terrified, that's such a negative word, that are unsure how to ask clarifying questions without feeling like a jerk. And trust me, the chaos people can take it. All right. Trust me, they can. So stabilizer growth mindset, know that you need more data and more information than everybody. Hey, Bob. And if you're a chaos tolerant, the challenge I would give you in a growth mindset is to have that real sturdy, for sure, rocked in, locked down vision, so that when you decide to take opportunities for growth, it actually will serve you and where you want to go in the long run. So I think that's it for today. I don't see any questions on the side. So I will wish you a good luck. Please be warm. I know Mark's in the cold part of the world. At least we're on the right side, the good side of the jet stream this time. So we're pretty mild. Enjoy your week. Hopefully, at least you have bright sunshine outside. And for our friends in the southern part of the U.S., I guess you're having a heat wave. So love that. Wish I could have some of that here. So anyway, thanks, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.